Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Fire crews are still working to fully contain a brush fire that burned dangerously close to homes near Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve. We brought it to you as breaking news yesterday. As of this morning, the fire was 23 acres and 50% contained. It started yesterday afternoon near the intersection of Carmel Valley Road and Del Mar Scenic Parkway. 2,500 people were evacuated from their homes, and thankfully, no structures were damaged. All evacuation orders have since been lifted. Our media partner, KGTV, spoke to people in the neighborhood nearby who say there's little to no trace of the fire today.
A lot of offshore or onshore wind kind of was pushing it, a lot of it that way. It's really nice, yeah. It's it's surprising.
All of a sudden I saw the Torrey Pines tree was burning at the bottom, and it just went from nothing and it just erupted, went up the trunk.
No injuries were reported, but 2 firefighters were sent to the hospital due to heat exhaustion, and they have since been released. The Torrey Pines State Reserve Park says all trailheads are closed until further notice.
Well, we're into a very warm, if not hot, weather pattern, especially in the interior. Tonight, our low temperature in Borrego Springs will only drop down to 80 degrees. Not much relief out there. We will get down closer to 60 in Escondido, 61 there, 66 for your low in San Diego. And there is an excessive heat warning in effect for the far inland areas into the deserts. That's going to be in effect until 11 p.m. Thursday. We'll look ahead at how hot the weekend will be in just a bit.
Palomar Health Medical Group's phones and computer system have been down for nearly 2 months. KPBS North County reporter Alexander Wynn explains how that's affecting patients and what the issue might be.
The doctor's office didn't have any medical records, anything whatsoever.
Sabir Hassan was one of the people who wrote to KPBS detailing their ordeal with Palomar Health Medical Group's computer outage.
The other problem is that the doctor cannot come up with any conclusive treatment plan because they don't have access to the previous records.
Hassan's problem mirrors dozens of others who contacted KPBS about the same issue. Poway resident Erin Allen told us that nurses had to ask her what the doctor diagnosed her with. Cecil Stockton from Valley Center says she was unable to obtain her prescriptions since the outage began. Neither has Dan Martinez from Escondido. Palomar says it discovered suspicious activities on certain computer systems on May 5th and quickly took those systems offline to prevent the spread of possible malware. The healthcare system says it is working with a third party to investigate the source and restore those systems as soon as possible.
Palomar says its medical centers were unaffected and remain fully operational. PHMG's computer systems, however, are still down nearly 2 months later.
There's definitely a cyber incident going on.
Tony Anscombe is a cybersecurity expert at ESET, a cybersecurity company headquartered in San Diego. He says there's been a rise in cybersecurity attacks on hospitals and healthcare systems because so much personal information is stored there.
If I go and attack a regular company that's got invoicing data and maybe your home address and some payment information, yeah, I've got a reasonable amount of data. But now put me into a medical facility, and suddenly, if I've managed to get medical records as well, I've got this very rich data that includes your social security number.
Palomar so far has released very little information about the incident. Anscombe says that could be a good thing because by law, the healthcare system has to notify people if their personal information has been compromised. The other alternative is that the FBI is involved and asks Palomar not to disclose any information while it is still investigating. Palomar did not respond to a request for comment by deadline. Alexander Wynn, KPBS News.
Since President Biden's executive order restricting asylum went into effect 3 weeks ago, migrant apprehensions at the border have dropped 40%. The order bars people who cross the border illegally from seeking asylum once a daily threshold is met. The Department of Homeland Security says the 7-day average number of apprehensions has dropped to less than 2,400 a day. Immigration is one of the key issues expected to be discussed during tomorrow night's presidential debate. While the two candidates have faced off before, new rules are in effect this time around. Julia Benbrook explains.
President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump agreed to meet on the debate stage after lots of back and forth.
I'm calling on Crooked Joe to debate anytime, any place. We'll do it anywhere you want, Joe.
Well, make my day, pal. I'll even do it twice. So let's pick the dates, Donald.
Now, the first presidential debate of the season is almost here. And although it's a rematch of 2020,
the question is, Justice, radical left. Will you shut up, man? Listen.
There are a couple of key changes. There's no studio audience, and while some say that will hurt Trump, who typically feeds off of a crowd, others predict it will make his performance stronger.
If I'm an advisor, you have to be potentially concerned about the bombastic nature of the former president because of an audience. So absent an audience, my presumption would be he'll be a little more toned down. He doesn't have a crowd to potentially react to some of the things that he may say.
The microphones will be muted, except for the candidate whose turn it is to speak.
If you look back at the first debate in 2020, it's clear that it has to be that way.
A coin flip determined that Biden will stand at the podium on the right side of the television screen, and Trump will get the final word of the night. No props or pre-written notes will be allowed on stage, but both candidates will be given a pen, a pad of paper, and a bottle of water. Reporting in Atlanta, I'm Julia Benbrook.
And you can watch a PBS News simulcast of the CNN presidential debate right here on KPBS. Coverage of the debate and analysis starts at 6 o'clock tomorrow night. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria's proposal for a 1,000-bed homeless shelter will soon be getting its first public hearing. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen is in the newsroom with more. Now, Andrew, if this shelter is approved, it would be the largest shelter in city history. How did this proposal come about?
Well, Maya, several months ago, Mayor Gloria's office was approached by a real estate investor who had purchased a 65,000 square foot warehouse just east of the airport. He offered to lease this space to the city for use as a homeless shelter. Gloria negotiated a deal and presented it to the city council in closed session. And then the council met another 3 times behind closed doors to discuss the proposal, a sign of disagreement between the mayor and the city council president. Supporters of this plan argue the city desperately needs more shelter beds to get people off of the streets, and that suitable locations for shelters are hard to come by. But critics have questioned the proposal's price tag, which still has not been made public, and they wonder whether taxpayers would be getting a fair deal. Now, the mayor and council president Sean Ela Rivera announced late Monday that they are ready to discuss the shelter proposal in a public hearing and to put it to the council for an up or down vote. And that's likely to take place in mid to late July after vetting from the city's attorneys and budget analysts. Maya?
Andrew, just how badly does San Diego need additional shelter beds?
Well, Maya, the city's need for shelter is truly dire. Most people who show up to the city's shelters on a given day are turned away because there's simply no room. And if you're disabled, it's even harder to find a shelter bed. And to make matters worse, 2 major shelters with hundreds of beds will be closing later this year. If the city can manage to put 1,000 beds in this warehouse, it will be a significant help getting more people off the street. But just renovating the warehouse to make it habitable will take about 18 months. So by no means is this a quick solution.
I've been speaking with KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen. Andrew, thank you.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, the Supreme Court mistakenly posts a draft opinion in a key Idaho abortion case. Details at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
San Diego's rising cost of living is making it harder for older adults to stay in their homes. A San Diego County pilot program is trying to help them avoid homelessness using monthly rental subsidies. KPBS reporter Katie Anastas says they are expanding the program to include a second round of households.
When Fidel Sanchez retired 6 years ago after decades as a machinist, he felt ready to live within his means.
Cuando yo me retiré, mi ingreso con el retiro era suficiente para vivir, pues no como rico, pero sí bien, más o menos. Pero empieza la pandemia. Entonces todo empezó a subir.
Sanchez lives in a one-bedroom apartment in University City. He says he started out paying $1,700 a month on rent there. At the time, the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment in San Diego was $1,950. 5 years later, he spends $2,700 a month on rent. In June, the median rent for a one-bedroom apartment was $2,350. He's considered moving, but says there aren't many better options.
Me gusta este lugar porque es muy tranquilo. Ya he ido a otros lugares, Chula Vista, y realmente las rentas están muy iguales a esta zona. Entonces, ¿para qué me muevo?
Sanchez is one of more than 200 participants in San Diego County's rental subsidy pilot program, meant to help older adults stay in their homes and connect to county services. Before getting the subsidy, he says he had to ask his daughter for help paying rent. This spring, the county's program started sending $500 directly to his landlord each month.
No es tanta la presión que tengo ya de $500, porque tenía que buscarlos.
The county launched the rental subsidy pilot program in early 2023. It's now accepting applications for 160 more households. Participants must be at least 55 years old, pay more than half of their income on rent, and meet an income threshold.
The cost of housing continues to soar, and many of our seniors, older adults are really living on low and fixed incomes. And so what we found is they're really having to choose or being forced to choose between, paying rent, eating, buying medication. And, the data tells us that the older adults are really, representing the fastest growing age group of people that are experiencing homelessness in San Diego.
Nearly half of unhoused older adults surveyed for this year's point-in-time count were homeless for the first time. Jimenez says homelessness can happen for lots of reasons. Losing a spouse might mean a sudden loss of income. An unexpected medical event might bring a hefty bill with it.
They were with partners or with spouses. They were working. And then there's just some kind of an event or something that occurs.
Researchers surveyed thousands of homeless adults across the state in 2021 and 2022. Over and over, they heard that a little bit of financial help could have kept them in their homes.
Had they gotten $300 to $500 a month, had they gotten like a one-time payment of $5,000 to $10,000, or had they gotten something like a housing choice voucher, which paid the difference between 30% of their income and what their rent costs, it would have stabilized things and then allowed them to not have the downward spiral.
Kushel says that intervention helps both people and local governments that pay for social services.
If they can get into shelter, that's really costly. A lot don't get into shelter, but they're cycling in and out of our emergency department, our hospitals. They might need to go to a nursing home when they otherwise could have avoided it. So the truth of the matter is, if we don't spend these small amounts of money, we're spending it on the back end, but for really bad outcomes.
In San Diego County, more than 1/3 of renters over 65 spend the majority of their income on rent. Sanchez is getting other types of assistance that help pay for food and cell phone bills. He and his wife have been on the waiting list for housing choice vouchers, also known as Section 8, for 4 years.
Pero no la han llamado. Dicen que más o menos el tiempo es de 8 a 10 años para que Sección 8 hable.
In the meantime, the subsidy program is helping him stay in his apartment. County staff will connect him and other participants with services they qualify for during the 18-month program. But he says when it ends, he's not sure what he'll do next. If you think you qualify for the county's pilot program, you can fill out an application online. More information is available on our website, kpbs.org. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
KPBS is hosting an online panel discussion on the rising cost of living in San Diego. Midday Edition host Jade Hindman will speak with experts about driving factors of those costs and explore community-based solutions to the crisis. It will stream on KPBS's YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram tonight at 6. The Supreme Court will save its biggest opinions of the term for its final days. The court issued just 2 opinions today, including a boost to federal agencies fighting misinformation online. Here's Karen Kafo with why they're taking so long to clear their docket.
With the calendar speeding toward the end of June, the Supreme Court has a lot of work to do, including high-profile opinions that could shake up the 2024 elections.
Sometimes the cases where the justices are most divided are the ones that take them the longest to decide.
On Wednesday, the court issued just 2 opinions. The first ruling that the White House and federal agencies can continue to press social media platforms like Facebook and X to remove content the government sees as misinformation, and that could be the work of foreign agents seeking to disrupt U.S. elections. The 6-3 majority ruled that the state and social media users who challenged the Biden administration did not have standing to bring the case. A second opinion with the 6 conservative justices in the majority was seen as a narrowing of public anti-corruption laws, siding with a former Indiana mayor accused of accepting a bribe. Wednesday's opinions mean the Supreme Court will save some blockbuster rulings for the term's final days. Among them, a ruling on Idaho's strict abortion law, which reproductive rights activists say, and the Biden administration argued, conflicts with federal mandates requiring doctors to stabilize patients in an emergency.
It's long been established law that everyone should have the ability to go to an emergency room in any instance and get the care that they need.
And former President Donald Trump's claim of immunity from prosecution for alleged criminal acts while he was in the White House. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaffa.
A big milestone today for a South Bay project that's been more than 20 years in the making. Crews broke ground on the Amara Bay project, which will bring 1,500 condos and a 250-room hotel to the Chula Vista Bayfront. The project also includes 400,000 square feet of commercial space. Our media partner KGTV spoke with Chula Vista Mayor John McCann, who says Amara will provide a huge economic boost to the city.
It's going to be the economic driver for the region, making sure that we can bring in revenue to revitalize our older communities. Before we had a power plant, we had a factory, but now people can have public access to it and even live in the Chula Vista Bayfront.
The Amara Bay project is part of the Chula Vista's Bayfront Redevelopment Master Plan. It includes a new park set to open this fall, as well as a resort and convention center, and that is expected to open next summer.
Well, the heat is sizzling this time of the year and especially this weekend across the interior. So as we round out the work week through Thursday and Friday and into Saturday and Sunday, we are consistently hot in the interior here late this week and in through the weekend. There will be some wind at times in the inland areas and some degree of fire danger. We've been watching and tracking some small-scale fires breaking out on a daily basis in parts of California. Crews have generally been keeping up with most of them, but we need to keep an eye out for trouble with this kind of a weather pattern. And there is going to be some blowing dust at times in some of the canyons, passes, and deserts as well, especially as we step ahead into the weekend. But tonight, we're looking at 66 for your low. We'll bottom out around there early Thursday morning. Partly cloudy, some clouds in coastal areas. It'll be a hot one in the deserts on Thursday. So an excessive heat warning is in effect in places like Borrego Springs and just east of Mount Laguna down into the lower elevations until 11 p.m. tomorrow evening. And the heat is on out there across the interior southwest. Some are beginning to see a little hint of monsoon moisture in the Four Corners region. By the way, fire crews have done a great job there near Ruidoso with no growth and now containment's more than 50 or 60% for those fires after no growth for the past week there, which has been very good news out in the land of enchantment being New Mexico. But back home here, we're looking at a hot one, 111 degrees into Borrego Springs. Up in the mountains, 75 Mount Laguna, very similar to the coastal temperatures here. El Cajon, you're going to be warm at 83, and Escondido, mid-80s. Coastal areas, we're looking at a slow crescendo up to around 80 Sunday afternoon, and a mix of some clouds in the morning and brighter afternoon weather. Into the inland areas, we're making a run from mid-80s to the near 90-degree benchmark on Sunday. Mostly sunny, very warm this weekend. Into the mountains we go. Here you can see a big rise into Monday, sunny and warmer out there. And into the deserts we go with temperatures reaching 115 on Sunday. Really steamy out there, 113 on Monday. So I'm back here with the meteorologist Jeff Cornish for KPBS News.
The U.S. Olympic women's soccer team heads to Paris next month, but without legend and San Diego Wave star Alex Morgan. It comes as the national team undergoes a changing of the guard. Head coach Emma Hayes named her 22-player roster for the 2024 Olympic Games, including two of Morgan's teammates, Naomi Girma and Jaden Shaw. Morgan shared her disappointment on social media, but says she will cheer on Team USA along with the rest of the country. San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria is in China today celebrating a new generation of pandas coming soon to the San Diego Zoo. KPBS reporter Katie Anastas says zoo visitors will still have to wait until later this summer to see the panda pair in person.
The two pandas are named Yunchuan and Xingbao. They'll be the first pandas to arrive in the U.S. in 21 years. Yunchuan already has a connection to San Diego. His mother, Zhen Zhen, was born at the San Diego Zoo in 2007. The zoo describes Xingbao as a, quote, gentle and witty introvert. Megan Owen is the vice president of conservation science with the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. She says Yunchuan and Xingbao won't be viewable to the public for several weeks after their arrival.
Once the pandas arrive in San Diego, they'll begin an acclimation period. That acclimation period is going to tell us how they're doing, how they're settling in, and then we'll be able to share an opening date with the public.
The zoo has renovated its panda habitat for the new residents. Owen says vertical structures and a hillside were inspired by the panda's mountain habitat in China.
Our giant panda habitat has gone through an absolute transformation. The size of the habitat is, I believe it's quadrupled, maybe even quintupled. It's enormous. And we've also incorporated a lot of topographic features that are just going to make for a very exciting and engaging habitat for the giant pandas.
The zoo says the decades-long partnership with the China Wildlife Conservation Association has helped improve the giant panda's status from endangered to vulnerable. A spokesperson from the National Zoo told NPR earlier this year that there are about 1,900 pandas in the wild and 800 in zoos. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
There is a push to make social media safer. Last week, the U.S. Surgeon General suggested a tobacco-style warning label after what he called a mental health crisis in young people. Mandy Gaither has tips on how to help children and teens use social media safely.
When it comes to social media and mental health, the full impact is still unclear, but early research suggests it can affect a child's self-esteem, self-image, communication skills, and so much more.
Kids might be able to connect with others that they normally wouldn't connect with. They might have an opportunity to learn about something new, but we also know that there are dangers that come with social media use.
Licensed therapist Jody Baumstein with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta says adults can help children and teens use social media safely by setting clear limits and being consistent. Having open, honest conversations about social media use, talking about the potential impact it has on mental health, and recognizing signs of social media use problems, especially if it appears there's a loss of control.
They are going to great lengths to try to gain access to it. They are using it in a really excessive way, hours and hours and hours, not being able to put it down, feeling like it has control over them. They might be withdrawing from friends and activities they used to love. It might be impacting their ability to just engage in daily functions.
Baumstein says that's when parents should step in and help children find some balance, encouraging other activities besides being on their phone.
We want them to have balance. We want them to feel like their life is more than just one thing, and that if they don't have that one thing, everything's falling apart.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Several high-profile music tour cancellations have sparked speculation about the future of concerts. The industry saw a major boom after the COVID-19 lockdown, and as Lee Waldman explains, those days could be coming to an end.
Fans excited for the Black Keys North American Arena Tour were sorely disappointed when the band abruptly announced its cancellation 4 months before the tour even began. After other high-profile cancellations like Jennifer Lopez, it appears the post-pandemic touring boom has come to an end.
These cases indicate that some arena tours are not selling that well.
After a series of surprising tour cancellations, freelance journalist Zach Schoenfeld believes the post-pandemic touring bubble has burst.
People were really eager to get back to seeing live music, and as a result of that, prices for everything went up.
That rise in ticket prices could be one factor keeping audiences away, and it's not just concerts. A recent survey by KPMG found more consumers plan to spend less this summer on things like restaurants, travel, and entertainment. John Rosen, an adjunct professor of economics at the University of New Haven, says it could be the end of what economists called revenge spending.
By 2023, everybody was pretty comfortable it was over. Everybody had a lot of pent-up spending, and they spent it.
While big-name artists like Beyoncé and Taylor Swift have had successful world tours, less popular artists aren't finding the same level of demand. Schoenfeld says it's on the artists and their team now to reassess how to best take on this new era of touring.
Artists and their agents and their representatives, need to be savvy about finding the right size venue, and, sometimes it's not an arena.
Schoenfeld added the price for artists to go on tour has increased substantially after the boom the industry saw following the pandemic lockdown. The cost to rent gear and other equipment to put on these arena tours has increased substantially, making it harder for these artists to turn a profit with these tours. In New York, I'm Lee Waldman reporting.
You can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following: and by viewers like you. Thank you.